Let's talk about why you should only recruit athletes in Dynasty College Football 25. Athletes are by far the most fun and then also the best position group to recruit in this game, man. These guys could literally play anywhere on the field, just the athletes. You could do a whole rebuild just recruiting athletes. It'll be super fun. The only issue is there's usually not enough 4-star athletes in each class, so I'm going to show y'all a little finesse. If y'all do enjoy the content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, appreciate y'all for watching. All right, man, let's hop right into it, man. I feel like by far the most slept on athlete in this game is probably going to be your physical wide receiver, man. If you know, you know. But if you don't know, you're missing out on not playing these guys at receiver. They could play receiver, but I'd much rather just get a regular physical guy to play receiver because they come in with a higher overall off jump. But if you move these guys to corner, I would say safety, but they usually convert to a hybrid safety. Sometimes they don't. If they convert to a run support safety or a zone safety, you're in the green. But obviously the hybrid safety is no-go in this game. But if you move them over to cornerback, oftentimes they turn to a slot corner, which, as y'all should know, slot corners is the best cornerback in the game when it comes to getting to the highest overall and getting to the most well-rounded stats. And the thing is about these guys, they come in with some pretty good speed consistently. So we got one 5-star and a couple 4-stars here of these receivers. And like I said, you want to move them over to cornerback, or you could keep them at receiver. Like I said, I like the cornerback a lot for these guys. I think that's the best place to move these guys in general. And the benefit here is, you get some of these guys with a little bit of speed. The biggest knock on the slot corner is they could be slow. They come in with a little bit lower speed than the man in the zone corners. Well, guess what? You get your guy like Ray right here, who is a gym 4-star athlete, receiver, and he's also 6'4". Now you're getting a big body cornerback, 6'4" cornerback, 216 pounds, 97 on the speed, 97 on the jumping. Good catcher, 74 on the catch. It's not amazing, but that's good for a cornerback. Solid strength, like he's going to be a dog at cornerback, and because he's an athlete, like he actually has that cornerback ability. You can't see his man coverage and zone coverage, but it's going to be in a good spot. It always is with these athlete receivers. It's going to be in a good spot. They're going to be able to transition to the defensive side of the ball. Tackling might be a little bit lower, but we don't really care about that for cornerback. You're able to get some dogs. 6'4", 97 speed, 216. You're not able. Another guy here, man. 94 speed. He's not a gem. He's just a normal guy. 94 speed, 6'4", 215. And you move him to cornerback, and then you got DK Metcalf moving like Sauce Gardner, out there locking down receivers. And, that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Another guy here, the 5-star, 6'3", 200 pounds, 95 on the speed. And maybe you're thinking, oh, it's just with the 4-stars and 5-stars. Let me show y'all some 3-stars. All right, so I just added the first couple 3-stars I seen. And you look here, 91 speed. Not as tall, 6'1". You got 6'2", 92 speed. You got 6'5". 6'5", under 200 pounds is nasty work, but he's a cornerback. We don't need him to weigh a lot out there. We just need him to be big, tall, lengthy, and, play some good cornerback. And he has 92 speed at 6'5", man. Does height, weight matter in this game? Sometimes. I think for cornerbacks, it depends, it depends. I think for O-line, it clearly does not at times. But regardless, some of these guys will not be as good. You get a bust here with 86 speed. Guess what? You don't want an 86 speed playing corner, receiver, especially not a physical receiver. Maybe an 86 speed route runner, but probably not an 86 speed physical receiver when he's not even tall. That's probably not doing much for you. So just make sure you do scout these guys. You'll always want to scout your receivers anyway. But you can find some absolute dogs here, even at the 3-stars all the way up to the 5-stars. Next, I want to talk about the athlete quarterback, which legit might be one of the easiest players to get in the game. I don't know why. Athlete quarterbacks is usually a lot of them in each class, and let's look, man. Let's just come over here to 3-stars, go to quarterback, and there's so many of these athletes, man. Like, you could scroll for a good while. Like, look, so many of these athlete quarterbacks at the 3-stars, 4-stars is not going to be as many. It's only, 6, 7, whatever that is. And then you come over here to like wide receiver where you do the same thing for 3-stars. It's not nearly as many of these athletes. You see here, you scroll a little bit. So these athlete quarterbacks is so easy to get them. And there's so many of them in the game. And oftentimes they get under recruited. So that makes them even more valuable. And then they could actually hoop. They could hoop. They could play well, man. They could play quarterback. Some of them could play defense. Listen, all the athlete quarterbacks are not the same. They're not the same whatsoever, man. It's tiers to it. You got some athlete quarterbacks that is phenomenal at running back. You know, they might come in as a 78 overall as a 4-star, 75 overall as a 4-star quarterback. You move them to running back, they jump up like 5 overalls to an 80, 82, 85 is the highest I've seen, man. I literally seen an athlete quarterback go over to 85 overall as a freshman. He was a 5-star, of course, but it happens. So I love these athlete quarterbacks, man. Then you'll get some guys with the lower speed. That's kind of how you know. If you get a guy with lower speed, you know he cannot play running back. He probably also can't play defense. Some of these athlete quarterbacks could go play defense. They could go play receiver. They could play tight end. They could also play corner, safety. Some of them cannot. Some of their overalls will literally be in the 50s. So just know it's different tiers to these athlete quarterbacks. I still think they're one of the best athletes in the game just because oftentimes they're versatile, and when you scout them, you're kind of able to know what he could play. Just looking at height, weight, like this guy, he can't play anywhere but cornerback. He has 83 speed. You can't play that on defense. Not in the secondary. 83 speed, you can't play that at safety or corner. Okay, well, maybe he could play linebacker. Not this guy. He weighs 197 pounds. He's 6'5". He also can't play D-line. He's 197 pounds, 6'5". So you know this guy can only play quarterback. He can't play receiver, can't play running back. He's too slow, and he just don't have – he have the build for a receiver, but he's just too slow. So a guy like this, you know, okay, he's only a receiver. Now, a guy like this, 6'5", 214, 87 speed. Now we talking about maybe moving him to outside linebacker, or maybe we talking about moving him to safety. 87 speed, it's low, but it still could play as safety. But so just know, and then a guy like this, 6'5", again, but he has the 89 speed. Now you're looking at, a potential big corner, or, maybe a receiver, whatever. So just know it's differences. And like a guy like this, 86 speed, he's 6'2", 220. Maybe that's a linebacker, maybe he could play running back, a little bit slow, but, I hope y'all getting what I'm putting down. Next, let's talk about the athlete center. And there's not going to be many of them. You see here, 4 stars, there's only 2 of them. We can only recruit 1. As far as 5 stars, none of them. 3 stars, it's a solid amount. We can add a bunch of hair to our board, and we'll scout and kind of just go through it. All right, so with these athlete centers, you're looking at some of your best old linemen in the game, especially for your guards, man. Your guards and centers, if you want to move these athlete centers, perfect, because they got the speed, they got the run blocking ability, lead blocking, impact, second level, screen enforcer, all of that type stuff, man. Very good in the run game and also the screen game, especially like I said, center, just the interior of the offensive line. You get some of these guys with 78 speed, 300-pounder. You get another guy, 81 speed. He's a 3-star. Remind you, he's a 3-star. 81 speed, 307, 6'2". 88 on the strength. Solid strength, man. Like, this guy could play D-line. If you want to put him at D-tackle, I worry wouldn't put him at the edge unless I was running a 3-4. I really wouldn't put him at DN. But you could put this guy at D-tackle. I prefer to keep him at O-line. When you go to position changes and when you finally get them, they're going to be better at the D-line 9 times out of 10. Like, D-tackle, 9 times out of 10 is going to be their highest overall. I prefer to keep them at O-line, even though they're going to be a lower overall at O-line to start off. They could catch up, man. They could catch up, and they usually do. So I really like these athlete O-linemen, even if I'm bringing in 3 stars, the 4 stars, like whatever. I like these guys, man. Strength is going to be solid, good speed, like just a little bit of everything. And then also how versatile these athletes are in general, man. You can play this guy 2 ways if you want it. Legit. You could legit play him 2 ways if you wanted to. You don't have to, but you could. All right, I'm going to be super quick on this one because I talk about it so much, and that's just going to be the athlete middle linebacker. Best in the game. Best in the game. Whatever you want, man. Johnny on the spot, man. Whatever you need, whatever you want on defense, they have them, but they don't come like the same. Just, it's different levels to it, man. You get some athletes like this, 6'2", 244, well, you can move him to D-line. You get some guys like 5'11", you see 5'11", 221 pounds, you might not want to move him to D-line. So just know these athlete linebackers is also tiers to this, man, but they're all good. And the last athlete I want to talk about in this video is going to be the tight end. And I know I'm missing a couple. I didn't talk about the running back, also the athlete D-lineman. We might cover that in another video. Maybe not. We'll see. Just let me know down in the comments. But These athlete tight ends, man, I like them. It's not many 4-stars. You see, it was only what, one in the whole entire class, and we can't even pursue them because we got a deal breaker, which is fine. But we're gonna recruit some of these 3-stars and we're gonna scout them. So the reason I like these athlete tight ends is for the D line. I don't like to keep them at tight end. You could, but I prefer to move them to the D line. They're usually pretty good D linemen. The only issue I have when you scout them, you don't really see their speed or strength, and that's two things that kind of matters for the D line. Obviously, you're recruiting them as an offensive player, so you can't see none of their defensive stats in general, but I would at least like to see if like they're any type of athlete. You know, that matters a lot to me on my D line. But what we can see is height and weight, and that usually tells you something about can they transition to be a D lineman. You got some guys here 6'5", 225 pounds. That could be an outside linebacker. You could very well move that to outside linebacker. 6'5", 240. You can move him to DN, you know. So it's, you know, like I said, levels to all these athletes, man. Look at the height and weight. Look at where they could fit in at, what position, they speed, all of that. And I really like moving these guys to the D-line. Also, with some of the running backs, I like moving them to the D-line also. But like I said, not covering that in this video. If y'all do enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for watching, man. Let me know if y'all want to see any more on the athletes. I got a whole athletes only rebuild with Vanderbilt. 5 years of rebuild, Vandy with athletes only. Click the video on the screen now for that.